What up, everybody? It's Rob the Mellow Guy, wishing you a happy new year. As we now are entering 2025, it's time to look back at all the albums that came out in 2024 that I thought deserved to be in my top 10 albums of the year. I do this video somewhat annually. I used to do it for a while, then I stopped, and I did it last year, so I thought to myself, going to try to do it this year. One of my resolutions is definitely to make more content for the channel, talking about music, albums, as well as I have the blog, rockandmetaltemple.blogspot.com, where you can see the top 10 list and actually read some of my descriptions in more detail. I'm going to just kind of go through the list. I don't want to spend too much time. I'm going to try to make this a long-winded video. Something I've always had, another thing about trying to work on is I want to make the videos more precise. Sometimes I get carried away, go off on tangents. So for 2025, I have some goals for sure. But I want to do this video, talk about the albums that I like that came out this year. And of course, I have my Rob the Mellow Guy Awards, which I always talk about as well at the end of the video. And again, it's on the blog. And I don't give detail. I just, list out the people that win the awards. And some of those awards you want to win, and then there's one you definitely don't want to win because that's the biggest douche of the year award. And actually, that was a tough one. There's a lot of douches in 2024, so hopefully 2025, it's not as bad, but in 2024, we saw some douches, damn it. That was for sure going on, and I always do that. I've done that for years now. Ever since I started the Rob the Mellow Guy Award, it's the biggest douche of the year award. Sometimes people actually enjoy, finding out about that more over than the EP of the year, which, hey, there's some good EPs that came out, in the past, and especially last year, actually. That was tough. Just to preface, in my personal opinion, when I look at the amount of albums that came out this year, solid releases, definitely nothing that was just utter garbage trash that I have been looking forward to hearing. But in terms of the battle for the top spot, like the number one album and just the top five, I felt previous years was a lot more challenging because there were, I would say, a handful of albums last year especially. Oh my goodness, that was tough because when it came to extreme metal, underground music, there were so many albums that I loved. And Lathe of Heaven, Bound by Naked Skies was probably my favorite album. Actually, that was number one last year. And then not Cemetery Philip, it was Ceremonial Bloodbath put out a great album. Last year there was some really good releases. I mean, I remember, and even 2022, I heard Abstractor when they put out their last full-length album. That was one of my favorite albums that came out during that year. This year was different. I mean, as much as there were good metal releases, the album that was number one wasn't metal, and that's where some people might get angry at me. There might be some tantrums thrown, some, people shouting poser at their screens, smacking, their keyboards, and wanting to take my metal card away, but I don't give a damn. As I've gotten older, I feel like people need, in the metal community especially, just need to shut up and quit whining. Hold on to your Possessed and your all these other metal elitists. You're a freaking deicide worshiping these people. It's like, yeah, okay, you think you're the brutalist, most badass person on the planet, you get a shout poser at everybody, but sometimes admit when something is good quality and it's not metal. And don't always be this whole gatekeeping douche that makes people go, God, is that what metal people are really like? Because sometimes it's tiring. And yeah, a lot of that this year I noticed too. A lot of grumpy metal fans. I don't know, man. Like I said, I felt like this year was solid, but previous years it was a little better. Anyway, let's get to the top 10 albums. I'm just going to run through this, not get too long. I've already started kind of getting long-winded here with my intro. I felt like, our last president, I was rambling off. But hopefully after the video, I don't wander off and get lost in a bush. Anyway, I'm going to try to throw in some humor jabs throughout this thing too. I'll try. That doesn't mean it's going to work. But anyway, the first, let's see, number 10, Orna Torpet. I always mispronounce that. It's a dungeon synth ambient artist that's on Nordvis. They're from Sweden. And the album they put out this year, Fordom Dogs. Again, I'm probably mispronouncing it. Again, if you want to read the actual description, it'll be on the blog, the link below, so you can check it out. But I really like this release. Kind of incorporated Scandinavian folklore elements into the whole dungeon atmospheric compositions. And no, they put out some good releases. This solo dungeon synth project over the years. If you're a fan of dungeon synth, I highly recommend it. I always seem to put dungeon synth artists always seem to pop up in the top 10 list because I am a huge fan of the subgenre. I like ambient music. I like film scores as well. So dungeon synth has been something. And Old Tower really is the one artist I always seem to, put in my top 10, or I'm always seeming to buy albums from them. This year, Old Tower didn't put out like a new full-length release. Last year, Draconian Synthesis was a really good album. That was definitely in the top 10. I have that on vinyl. But Old Tower didn't have one, so Orna Torpet kind of filled that dungeon synth void for me this year, and that's why they're number 10. Number 9, Low Moments. Escape Artist, Ship Has Sailed. Low Moments is a fun project. Charlie Sad Eyes and a couple friends of his. Charlie Sad Eyes, he has quite a few projects, and he's got his label Lawnmower Jetpack Records. He's running that thing and doing a good job, and I like it because Low Moments, kind of a fun post-punk synthwave band, and this album was pretty funny. And the music video that he did for one of the songs, that's probably why I give it, number 9 here, because of the damn music video. It was just so hilarious, where Charlie's wearing the suit. He's walking around trying to hawk demos or something, going door to door selling demos. Or he's wearing this, and it's raining. And I think his family was actually like filming him as he walked. They drove slowly in the rain. And the way the music just fit perfectly. It's one of those things, like if you're in a portion or part in your life where you're just like wanting to reflect about how the hell did I get here, man, things are just not. Throw that song on, and oh my God, check it out from Escape Artist, Ship Has Sailed. It's the music video for that one track was great. I gotta give a shout out there. So Low Moments at number 9, and number 8, Butcher on Foul of Tyrant Wing. So Butcher I had come across because of a recommendation from a friend that I had met this year. She's a really cool person. And thanks to her, I actually heard Butcher. So I want to give a shout out to her for that, because I had not come across this artist before. But if you like death thrash, very catchy, has some good groove, solid riffs. Butcher really impressed me. The album cover too definitely has that old school metal vibe going with it. Badass to the bone, with like the night demon, or it's like a demon with the horns on the cover. But like the vocals. Definitely has they're from, I believe, Europe. God, Europe. There's a lot of good metal bands from Europe, right? They're putting out some great releases. The European metal community going strong. I'm hoping to make my way to Europe actually this year. I like to see some metal shows, festivals. My friend, she's like, yeah, you should come. It's definitely a cool place to see shows, the festival. So thinking about doing that. 2025, Rob the Metal Guy invades Europe. When I talk about an invasion of Europe, I'm actually not going to be like Donald Trump and try to purchase Greenland. So don't worry, Europe. I'm not going to try to take over in that sense. Just so calm down. But Greenland, I don't know. We might own it one day. Craziness. Okay, number 7, the new Deicide album, Banished by Sin. A lot of bands like Deicide that are older, the death metal bands from the late 80s, early 90s, in my opinion, there have been some that have put out albums, and I'm telling you, this is a thing in the metal community. They're recycled, they're generic, they just don't have that same energy, or just, they feel like the band sort of dialed it in, and they just put out a new album to justify going on tour, but in the end, the band just plays a bunch of old songs. Deicide's new album, I will admit, Glenn's vocals sounded really good, and the riffs and the songs, there was a certain energy, and the production too. I have to admit, the album didn't fall in that category of just a generic older band trying to capitalize off their name. I really do feel that Glenn put some effort into writing the music. I like the lineup he has now. Steve is an amazing drummer still. I mean, that you can't take away. That's always been Deicide's strength, is Steve's drumming. Ever since, I first heard Deicide, that's what I noticed and why I've always liked them. At times, I do feel they kind of get caught up in the same style of songs about anti-Christianity, screw Jesus and all that. Yeah, there's nothing. I enjoy that. My favorite album, though, has got to be the first Deicide release, and that's where the other ones that have followed, I'll listen to and I'll enjoy. But am I a fanatic? No. I mean, Serpents of the Light, that's a good release, but it's not something I go to right away. Though I have to say, the new Deicide was well done, and for a band that's been around like Deicide, it definitely stood out compared to their other contemporary, other fellow older metal bands of the death metal genre from Florida. And I also have to say they had replay value. So that's another thing. A lot of artists that I've heard, they have put out new releases. Death metal bands have been around for a while. Iconic. I'm sorry, there's some snoozers after you listen to it once, right? And that's where Deicide did a good job, because you actually can listen to the songs more than just one time, So there you go. Number 6, Maudizes. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. They're a French metal band. On Sentient Ruin, they put out their release. It was self-titled, really good, blackened, blasphemous, death, metal, kind of surrealistic sounding compositions that fits Sentient Ruin, right? That label has been doing such a good job, the work they've been doing over the years here, and I really like this artist, Maudizes, so I put them on there. Good release. If you like blackened death metal, has some doom elements as well, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Abstractor, so check it out. Number 5, got to give a shout out to our local Hemotoxin, Michael Anthony Chavez, delivering once again this album, When Time Becomes Lost. Really liked it. The album cover was really cool too. This could have been the album cover of the year, and it was very close. I thought it reminded me of like old school death metal albums from the 90s. So give a shout out to the artist that did this. Really well thought of, creative, colorful too. But Michael, this was more of a solo project for him in a sense. He had a guy come in on drums. Actually, the guy who plays Morbid Angel right now, or I don't know if he's still in there. I'm not sure. I forget his name at the top of the moment. I apologize to him. Cool. He's a good guy. He played in some bands around, and Michael tapped him. But currently, Hemotoxin has a full lineup. I saw them live this year at the Brentwood Emporium. The new lineup is sounding killer. I hope that they put out an album, because I think he's got a tight group right there. But the songs on this release, I have to say, as a lyricist and as someone who creates, Michael has stepped up his game with each album, and this one, When Time Becomes Lost, was no exception. I believe the song that I liked and I thought was one of the top songs off the release, Reborn in Tragedy. Emotionally, you hear the raw energy, and not just the lyrics, but also the guitar playing and the solo. I actually really like the guitar solo. It was probably one of my favorite solos that I heard on album this year. There was something about it that just, it fit, right? He really, I thought, did a good job putting things together. So number 5, Hemotoxin. Number 4, Diabolic Oath, Oracular Hexations. Diabolic Oath, another Sentient Ruin band that I am familiar with. I reviewed their previous release when they had went with Sentient Ruin to put that out. Liked it. Just cataclysmic death, doom, blackened, chaos, just everything all at once, man. Good musicians, solid, compositions, everything that they did with this release, I have to say, again, they know how to make the extreme metal music. They don't slow down, and that's why they're at number 4, man. And I'm hoping to see them live, because I believe they're from Portland, and definitely a band I'd like to see maybe with some other Sentient Ruin artists like Abstractor or something, put on a big show. That'd be pretty cool. So I do believe they did tour down here or something. I unfortunately missed it. Also, if you've watched the previous video, I do have concerns about going to Oakland, because I don't want my car stolen, and I don't want my car window smashed. And that's just, oh my goodness, that's just unfortunately how it is. 2025, I'd like to see Oakland get cleaned up, but fat chance of that. Number 3, Aberration. Another Sentient Ruin band, man. They actually put out a split with Diabolic Oath, I believe. Yeah, earlier this year I reviewed it. That was a good split. And I'm happy that both bands put out full-length releases. Aberration, though, man, I just like this album. It's dark, it's heavy. It's called Refracture. That's the title of the album. You gotta check it out. Some very just sickening death metal riffs. Got the old school feel, like Immolation. Kind of has that feel of even like Autopsy at times, or just a lot of like the darker death metal bands from the 90s even. Got some intense riffs in there. Good release, so check it out, Aberration. Number 2, Nikas. Death Apophenia is the title of that album. I really liked it. Nikas, I believe they were from Italy, but they're based in Germany right now. Again, they're on Sentient Ruin. They put an album last year that I really liked. It's got this cavernous, death doom feel to it, very suffocating sounding riffs, and just explosive drumming that just echoes across the soundscape. When I heard they were putting out like another release this year, I go, man, this kind of like, they sure don't, they don't waste time, man. They're working hard, which I respect. Go-getters, putting out the new releases without hesitation. And sure enough, this album to me just stood out, right? All the riffs, everything about it, really just profoundly brutal. So check it out, Nikas, Death Apophenia. Okay, number 1. Everyone's been waiting for this, drum roll please, but as I said, I'm already expecting it. I'm already expecting the whiners to come out and the hardcore metal, cult metal people to throw their tantrums, but get over it. Album of the year, can't get around it. Gotta be honest, people. The Cure, Songs of a Lost World. This CD, I bought it not expecting much. I actually said, okay, The Cure's putting out a new album. I've always liked The Cure, band that I've enjoyed for many years. I like them. Sure, I listen to I listen to Insanity. I listen to Creator. I listen to Satanic War Master. But I've always liked post-punk and new wave, and I like The Cure, especially the early stuff. I mean, there's some good tracks from The Cure, gotta admit. When I was like in middle school, I heard A Forest. Loved that guitar sound. Just again, creative musicians. Robert Smith, he's a cool dude. A lot of people can say what they want, but you know what? When somebody looks like that, got the hair going, and he's a good guitarist too, very underrated. His creativity as a player. If you listen to those songs, there's some good riffs. But this album, didn't expect much. When I first bought it, I said, I'll just, you know what? I was at Barnes & Noble. I said, I listened to one track. It was all right. I'll see how the rest of the album is. I'll take a shot. Put it on. Said, whoa, this is some good sounding like production. The atmospheric guitar riffs. Robert Smith's vocals. I said, I can't believe this. I gotta listen to it again. It was still good. Listen to it again. Damn, the songs on this just stand out. Everything about this is, from the bass playing to the drumming, everything is just well recorded. And that's what it was. To me, this is something that the metal community needs to think about. When you're making an album, take your time and make the listener go, wow, I want to listen to that again. There's something about that release that hooks me. Any style of music, which, any type of band can learn from this, I feel. And The Cure did it. And that's why this album, I really do believe, is the best album to come out this year, because Robert Smith and the band took their time. The way they wrote these songs, they arranged everything. And it reminds me a little bit of the early material from The Cure. Right? The longer kind of post-punk, atmospheric, kind of haunting songs with the melodies, that just kind of are entrancing. I have to say, the song that probably my favorite was I Can Never Say Goodbye. It was the lyrics. They're not complicated, but there's a lot of meaning behind them. And that's what I liked about it. The album just checked off every box. So there you go. Number 1, The Cure. Songs of a Lost World. Okay, Rob Bell Guy Awards, everybody. I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for this part. Label of the year should come as no surprise, Sentient Ruin. When you got a handful of bands in my top 10, that's because the label has something also to do with it. Not just the bands, the label's promotion of the bands, the way the album covers and the physical formats come out. Sentient Ruin knows how to get people who like extreme music that pushes boundaries, that doesn't sound like, again, what we're hearing from the mainstream metal labels. No, Sentient Ruin is the underground label that, once again, they've been dominating, man. I feel like Sentient Ruin now has won this award for like 5 or 6 years in a row. Like, they need some competition, man. Sentient Ruin, they're becoming like the 49ers of the 80s. Just can't stop them. They're just doing such a good job. Wish 49ers of the 80s would return, because right now they suck. Especially after this season. Oh my God. But anyway, Sentient Ruin, congratulations. You are the label of the year yet again. That's that hard work. And also, the guy who owns Sentient Ruin, I have a lot of respect, because he's not making YouTube videos like some people who run labels. Might be one of 3 brothers that throws tantrums when people don't want to do interviews with him, and he claims they're ducking him. You know what it might be? It's not that they're ducking you. They just don't want to do an interview with you, because that's just how it is sometimes. And throwing your grown-ass metal tantrums, you look like He-Man, that, I can't get an interview. Shut up. I still buy it from the label, because it's a distribution. I'm sure a lot of people that follow metal music are familiar with what I'm saying, but those are not. It's one of the brothers that runs Hell's Headbangers. One of them is really cool. I've actually, when I've had questions. But one of them, I agree with some of the things he says, but recently, God, he throws tantrums. Man, my 13-year-old nephew's actually less of a whiner than him. Anyway, let's see. Best live show of the year. I got to give it to The Mission when I saw them at the Ritz. But I also have to say, Creator as well. So it's a tie. Creator, they put on a killer show with the Clash of the Titans with Possessed. And Possessed played well, too, that night, too. And Testament, I did all right. But no, Creator's set blew me away. The whole demons and the way they play, the energy, and especially the crowd response. Mission, for the songs and just how they sounded for a band older from the 80s, I have to give it to them. Wayne Hussey, brilliant singer-guitarist. So that's why I give it a tie. The Mission and Creator. Well, I saw a few good shows. Like, I recently saw Insanity live at the Ritz. They put on a killer set, a really good show a few days ago. And then I saw TSOL this year at the Brentwood Emporium. That was a really good show, so there you go. Then EP of the year, I'm going to give it to Cemetery Filth. This one, Sense is a Detriment. This is a good release. If you like old school death metal, very happy Matty Kilpatrick. Keeping Cemetery Filth going. Talented guitarist. And the band did a good job. They re-recorded a Cosmic Wraiths song that I like. They did on the Four Doors to Death Split release that was on, I believe, what was that? Unspeakable Acts Records. And so hearing that again re-recorded was really cool. And then they did a good job covering Vacant Planets. And holding this up still because album cover of the year is going to Cemetery Filth for this album as well. Sense is a Detriment. And Katie Mueller is the artist, I believe, that designed this. So shout out there. Really liked it. None of that digital AI garbage or goofy looking stuff that you've seen in recent years. Example of that Morbid Angel album cover. God, Kingdom's Disdain. That was trash. Ugh. So, yeah, I like that. The album cover, very creative. The skull, the way everything, kind of the teeth. You look at that. That's what I like. Creative artist. Let's see, who's got the next award? Music video of the year, Void, Return of the Phantom. Check it out. Void is a thrash metal band from the Louisiana area, I believe, Lafayette, Louisiana. They got a new album coming out this year in 2025, but the song, Return of the Phantom, pretty good. Kind of reminds me of that old school speed metal, thrash. Very, very impressed by him. So I'm looking forward to the new album, but the music video was cool too. They're like in a theater. You got the guy dressed up like the Phantom of the Opera with the girl. Just really, really creative. I like what they thought there, the whole old school Phantom of the Opera horror feel going. So Void, they did a good job. I like good music videos from the metal community when done right. None of that cheesy stuff where you just see the band performing and then you're like, okay, kind of come up with something creative. Think outside the box. Maybe ask John Carpenter for some ideas. Let's see, venue of the year. Going to give it to the Brentwood Emporium. Contra Costa County has needed a all-ages music venue, and the Brentwood Emporium, they delivered this year. Saw a few good shows there. And the TSOL show, really liked what they did there, having TSOL come up. And again, all ages. The young punks are there, the young metal fans, the older ones are there. Everyone can enjoy themselves. Really nice venue. The toilets are clean, unlike some places I've been to where, hell, the toilets are usually broken. You don't have to worry about your car getting stolen in Brentwood, surprisingly, as much as you do in certain other places. And I could go on and on. But there you go. Punk releases of the year, going to give it to Dollhouse with I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, and then Yellow Cake, A Fragmented Truth. The reason I'm giving both of these as the punk releases, hardcore punk albums of the year is because I was thinking about giving it to Yellow Cake, but then the singer of Dollhouse, great singer, punk frontman, but my fear was too, I didn't want the singer of Dollhouse to kick my butt, because that singer of Dollhouse is crazy, and I don't want to upset, so I was like, I'm going to give it a tie. And also, if I didn't give it to Yellow Cake, the singer, she's a badass too, and I'm afraid she'd kick my butt. So this was like, okay, I'm going to compromise. You both win, Dollhouse and Yellow Cake. Artists that I hope still are making new music this coming year, and that'd be awesome to get another Dollhouse release in 2025 or another Yellow Cake release. Do a split, Dollhouse, Yellow Cake. That way, I don't have to worry about, upsetting one of you. You both will win something, right? Get split of the year for 2025, maybe. Wrestler of the year, Stephanie Vaquer. God, this woman is amazing. If you like professional wrestling, she's got the whole demon, badass look going. For those who watch the channel, I do like professional wrestling. I'm entertained, WWE. I would like to say AEW, but God, that company just sucked right now. But NXT, Stephanie, she's kicking ass. And also Julia, wrestler from Japan that's come over, and she's doing a great job in NXT. So got to give a shout out to them. Those women, they can definitely kick and beat some people up, put them in a mosh pit, and I like to see that. Those dudes would get stretched to the loins. Anyway, let's see. Biggest douche of the year. We're already here. The big one. This is the award that everyone loves, right? There are a lot of douches, so I have to give the award to multiple people. But starting, you gotta give it to Taylor Swift. Oh my God, she ruined football. You turn on a football game with the Kansas City Chiefs, they were showing Taylor Swift, and you're like, why? This is football. I don't want to see no goddamn pop singer that got famous because she sings about breaking up with boyfriends and this and that. Her music sucks. It's painful to even, you're at the store and someone goes, oh, this is my favorite Taylor Swift song. You're like, this is something that they should be playing to terrorists while they're getting tortured. It's horrible. And I don't know. She just annoyed me, and I'm glad. I think she's supposed to leave the country because Trump won. They all say that. They never do. So go figure, right? They always say that. I'm going to leave the country. Still here. Go figure. Speaking of women that got mad because Donald Trump won the presidency, I'm giving the biggest douche award as well to the women on The View. Oh my God, they are obnoxious. See, I'm an independent. I don't care either way, but when those women were throwing tantrums and meltdowns, I had a guy I know that I work with. He was laughing because he's like me. It's like, I didn't really, we're not political people, but God, these women, the way they were acting was just embarrassing. And that Whoopi Goldberg, she's gonna abstain from sex or something. We're not gonna, have sex because Trump won. And it's like, don't worry, Whoopi, with a face like yours, I don't think people are gonna ever want to touch you. God, ugh. So those women especially, they're dumb as hell. They all sound like a bunch of mutated hens clucking at each other. So there you go. Biggest douches right there, The View. And wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer, if you're familiar with him, then you know what I mean. But if you're not, this guy, he's one of those journalists that I hope I never turn into, where he is just so dumb and so biased and so ignorant. And oh God, listen to his podcast. He has horrible presentation. I mean, I'm no top of the line, podcaster, creator or something, but at the same time, I feel like at least I don't mumble and bumble like he does. Oh goodness. So that's why he gets that. That is it for the biggest douches. I kept off J-Dog from Hell's Headbangers, the guy I was referring to earlier about labels, because again, I still use Hell's Headbangers, respect what they've done. I bought a lot of releases, but at the same time, J-Dog, just because people don't want to do an interview with you doesn't mean you should throw a tantrum. Got it? And you got to grow up, just, hey, put out the interviews with the people that want to do interviews with you. And also try to be a little respectful when you're calling bands. If you don't like a band, don't just label them as gay. I think that's kind of juvenile. And hopefully in 2025 we stop, with that. It's like, if you don't like something, try to be a little more constructive. Even I got to work on it sometimes. Like, but Taylor Swift doesn't deserve. She just sucks flat out. But me being a hypocrite right there. But there are some bands that he's called names that I kind of have a little bit of a bone of contention with, but I leave it at that, But I'll leave him off. He doesn't get a douche award. Just a disappointing metal community person award. How about that? Some of that, I laugh at some of the stuff he does, but then there are times where I shake my head and I'm like, I don't know there, buddy. All right, everyone. 2024 has come to an end. We're in 2025. Thank you for supporting the channel. Remember to like and subscribe. And this year, I'm going to try to make some more videos, come up with some more ideas to entertain you people. Remember to check out the blog, link below. All right, everybody. Rob the Metal Guy signing off. Later.